Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, whatever time you are watching or listening. It's evening for us. It's a Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving. I am joined by Tommy Birch. He's in Springfield, Massachusetts. I am Kyle Garlett in Denver, Colorado. And our third partner in parlay, Ben O'Connell, who is normally with us from Chicago. He is on the road. It's obviously Thanksgiving week. Ben is also a stand-up comedian. So he has all kinds of weird travel things going on this week. But don't worry, because Ben feels like he owes it to you who have dedicated yourselves to watching and listening to us and making the picks based on the advice that we give. Ben has submitted his own picks. We will hear from him later via video. Fingers crossed that our technical wizards in our studio can figure that out. So we will hear from Ben a little bit later. But Tommy, here we are, week 12. It's Thanksgiving week. Now, according to Bill Belichick, this is when football really starts. The season now, season now begins. This is where you go from being a good team to a Super Bowl ready team. And who impressed you the most this past week in being a Super Bowl ready team?
This past week, off rip, we have to talk about Tommy DeVito and the Giants. That is a Super Bowl ready team. Yeah. Off the get-go.
Pick him up in your fantasy leagues if he's available. My God.
Hey, come on, Tommy DeVito, the man. But in all seriousness, I think that this past week was actually a little more detrimental to most teams that are in that race for the big one. We saw a lot of teams that won their games, but not as confidently as they should have. The Dolphins kept it close with the Raiders. The Ravens pretty close with the Bengals, even though it shouldn't have been. And the Bengals themselves, the Bengals should with Joe Burrow gone now. What's up with them? Who's going to start for them next week? Is it going to be AJ McCarron from the practice squad? They signed somebody else too. We'll get into that, but I think out of all the teams
just real quick on that, then the AFC really all kind of took a bath. You talk about all the top teams in the AFC that was considered maybe the class of the NFL better than the NFC, but you got the Chiefs losing, you got the Ravens struggling, and then losing Mark Andrews. Obviously, the Bengals took a step back. The Bills look okay, but we've kind of been sad about the Bills for a few weeks. The Dolphins, like you said, the AFC really did not shine at all.
Not at all. But in the contrary, the NFC just boosted their schedule a little bit. We have the 49ers, Cowboys, and Eagles all winning. I know the 49ers and Cowboys games weren't as, highly touted, but they won in dominant fashion. And that Eagles game, obviously we hate the end result with MVS dropping that ball. But at the end of the day, it's any given Sunday, right? Any given Monday at least.
Look, how many games come down to, one catch, one block, one, guy gets his foot in bounds. We see it every week. And look, the Eagles completed their long pass to Devontae Smith when they needed to. Chiefs did not complete their long pass to Valdez-Scantling when they needed to. That was as simple as that.
Class act on Mahomes for taking accountability, though, even though, it was a pretty beautiful ball. He said he could have kept it a little shorter. It kind of shows the kind of character the guy we got there.
But that's a ball that you got to catch. If you're an NFL receiver, you have to catch that ball.
Absolutely. But regardless, that game is super important for the final standings that we see here. For power rankings, Eagles 9-1. There's not really much else. They seem like the cream of the crop of the NFL right now.
Yeah. And you got in the AFC, you got a jumble. You've got like 4 7-3 teams. You've got an 8-3 team. It could be there. You've got some clear division winners right now. I think in Kansas City is going to win the AFC West, but they could. In theory, they could be seated anywhere from 1st to 7th or 4th to 4th right now because of that. There's no clear dominant team in the AFC like we thought there would be. Whereas the NFC. You've got 4 teams, I think, who are all going to battle it out. I think based on the Bears nearly knocked off the Lions. The Lions needed some last-second heroics to get that done. If that had happened, boy, even still, I think we talked about this the week before after they gave up all those points to the Chargers. This Lions defense troubles me. Their offense is definitely Super Bowl ready, but I'm not certain about that defense. whereas you've got three other teams in the NFC right now playing at peak performance. And Brock Purdy, I mean, he is. You can talk about the system all you want, but man, the guy is making the throws. He's no longer a dark horse MVP. He's in the top 5 right now, and there's no reason to think that he can't finish at the top.
Absolutely, and we gotta understand, like, this guy is getting considered for top 5 in MVP race, and he had the first perfect passer rating game since Joe Montana. But I mean, we are. I still think Brock Purdy is underrated because he is getting the same criticisms of a 10-year veteran
Yeah.
as a second year Mr. Irrelevant that's coming in and leading this team to one of the best records and one of the favorite spots in the NFC.
Well, we hear people make excuses for Sam Howell because he's only in his second year. People make excuses for Trevor Lawrence because we don't really count his first year with Urban Meyer, so he's really only in his second year with Doug Peterson. But excuses are made. But you don't get those same benefits for Brock Purdy, and maybe it's because he's playing for a team that looks like a Super Bowl team right now, and he's surrounded by great players too. I mean, that's but there's no problem. You don't lose points because you have great players. I mean, Joe Montana, who you just mentioned, he was always surrounded by great players. We don't think of Joe any less because he got to throw the ball to Hall of Fame wide receivers. We don't think anything less of, a lot of these, like Tom Brady has that incredible 50 touchdown season. Yeah. I mean, he had Randy Moss, but so what? It was still a great season. It was an all-time season.
Exactly. I mean, the best seasons in quarterback history are led by a supporting cast that could help bring those stats to light. And
Yeah.
Brock Purdy just he's having an incredible year for any standard. And I think that the fact that a guy who's a second year, he only started halfway through his first season. He hasn't played 2 full seasons of football.
Yeah.
I mean, he's elite. He is.
Well, I mean, and he probably for his first training camp probably sat around and did very little of that training camp because they were pushing Trey Lance at that point, and Jimmy Garoppolo. So he probably saw very little action. So really, he's had one full season and one training camp, and he is already just a surgeon out there on the field. The way it's not Shanahan's system. It's Purdy he is always making the right read, and it's really impressive. This is a smart dude. It is amazing that he dropped to the end of the draft because, I mean, he's clearly. I mean, I have not. You hear a little bit about him and hear a little bit from him, but everybody raves about the brain on him, and surely that had to come across in his pre-draft meetings. How he fell all the way to the 49ers in the back end of the 7th round is incredible.
Unbelievable. And people forget that he beat he was fighting for that third string job with Nate Sudfeld, and he beat Nate Sudfeld for the job, and Nate Sudfeld had a spot on that team.
Well, they paid a good amount of money for him because they were sure he was going to be on the team.
And then he got booted because Brock just took the spot. So I guess the Niners have seen something from him from the start.
And we're all seeing it now. I mean, he's one of the great stories in the NFL. All right. Well, we are not going to have a game tonight because since I put together the games, I would probably win. So we're not going to go ahead and do a game. We are going to just do the two of us, but we are going to start with the 3 Thanksgiving Day games. Now, I know that most of you probably are seeing this after Thanksgiving, but because it's such a big part of Thanksgiving, the NFL, we do wanted to just give a brief mention to those 3 games. Normally, we don't touch the Thursday games exactly for the reason that most of you will see this after the Thursday game is over. And we don't want to show you, our bad picks after you've already know the result of the game. We're going to go ahead and do that for Thanksgiving. We're going to go ahead and make these picks real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about each game just because, again, most of you will have already seen the result. But first game of the afternoon, the Green Bay Packers are at the Detroit Lions. Ben actually is picking the Packers to cover. He thinks the Lions will win, but he's going with the Packers to cover this point spread. I'm in disagreement. I think that the Lions, based on the close call that they got with Chicago, it may have been looking ahead to Thanksgiving too, because I'm sure what they were doing is they probably did a little prep for both games as they were leading up to that Bears game. Maybe got caught a little bit looking past it because Thanksgiving is such a meaningful thing to them in Detroit. And I think that they rebound nicely and win this game pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, the Chicago Bears, one thing about the Chicago Bears offense is that despite, the lack of weapons at times, they are versatile. They have a guy back there who can make things happen, get out of the pocket, make pretty spectacular plays at times. Whereas the Green Bay Packers are one of the least versatile offenses in the NFL. So if a bad defense wants to take advantage of the moment, the best time to do it is against the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers, let's be honest, they got a little bit lucky against the Chargers due to poor management skills and poor coaching. But Detroit is gonna feast on this Packers team, and I feel like I would buy a couple points on this too.
Yeah, I mean, Fields went over 100 yards rushing. We're not going to see that same kind of a versatility from Jordan Love.
Might not even get 100 yards total from that guy.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next game. The Dallas Cowboys, they've been playing Thanksgiving Day games since 1966. They are hosting the Washington Commanders, and they are giving 11 points. Ben has the Cowboys covering. I also have the Cowboys covering because right now they're playing really good football. The Commanders are the most disappointing team to me this year. And look, Sam Howell, I like Sam Howell, but he is a take sack machine. And I've got DeMarcus Lawrence in one of my fantasy leagues, and he is starting for me because I am expecting everybody on the Dallas Cowboys to get at least 2 sacks.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I mean, the Cowboys are runaway favorites for this game for good reason. I mean, when your Commanders team, they started off all right, but losing by 2 scores to the New York Football Giants and letting a guy who of the name of Tommy DeVito throw for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns on you, and I think he completed less than 20 passes. It's just absurd. It's absurd. And then, I mean, in all honesty, Tommy DeVito outplayed Sam Howell in every aspect of the game. And you think that Sam Howell is going to outperform Dak Prescott against one of the best defenses in the league? No shot. No. Dallas minus 11.
Now we're finally seeing Tony Pollard start to come alive. CeeDee Lamb obviously has been alive for quite a while now. The Cowboys roll on this one. All right. We have had a primetime Thanksgiving Day game since 2006. This year's version takes place in Seattle. It's the NFC West division leading 49ers against the second place Seahawks. And the 49ers really have an opportunity right here to clinch this division and run away with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ben has them covering. I have them covering. I'm going to guess, Tommy, as a 49ers fan and somebody who's we just spent 10 minutes raving about Brock Purdy. I think that I'm going to guess that you agree.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the Seahawks are good this year, but I actually think that last year's team might be slightly better, at least on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they're carried a lot by their defense, and Gino he's pretty good this year, but it's not the phenom we saw last year, and the 49ers are going to eat that up.
Gino banged his arm up. He's got a bruised tricep. He's going to play through it. Kenneth Walker, oblique injury. He is not going to play. When the 49ers are healthy and at their best, nobody in the league can touch them, and that is where they are right now. The way the 49ers have played since their bye is they are the best team in the NFL. All right, those are our Thanksgiving Day games. We're going to now move to the 4 games presented to you by Ben. And let me go ahead. He's submitted videos. Let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and take our little screen here so that you and I can watch, Ben.
Well, friends, happy holidays. As you can tell from this colorful background, some of these pictures that are hanging up, I am not exactly at home. I'm currently on the run. Don't want to talk about it or too much. But, the Broncos have been doing too good. Kyle has a warrant out for me right now. That's why I'm not on the show live. It's okay. He can't stop me from predicting some football games for you guys, okay? It's another week. We're back to Ben getting the bogus bum balls, okay? The first game we're going to talk about right now is going to be the New England Patriots taking 3 points at the New York Giants, okay? New England is favored at this one, and I'm going to be honest with you. Why are you watching this game? You got family around, dude. These two teams absolutely are abysmal, okay? They're absolute dog water. And you know, it seems like Belichick's on the way out right now. The Giants are just absolutely struggling. I'm going to take the Giants in the points. I think it's going to be a 1 or 2 point game. It's going to be very miserable to watch, like a 17-15 type of situation. But I'm going to take the Giants here to cover +3. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me, but it probably will.
So I actually like Ben's pick. Kayvon Thibodeau has been playing really good football recently. We don't even really know who the Patriots are going to have at quarterback. There, you know, it may be Mac Jones, but his leash continues to get shorter and shorter. Maybe Bailey Zappi, maybe both of them, maybe one of them starts, the other one comes. Who knows? Belichick is keeping that pretty tight to the vest. And Tommy DeVito just gained some serious confidence. The Giants are at home. I mean, I think the Giants can win this game straight up. I don't think that you need the points necessarily, but the fact that they're getting a field goal against a bad Patriots team. These are the two lowest scoring teams in the NFL. The Giants ranked 32nd, Patriots ranked 31st. So take even if the under is like 14, take the under. But man, I like Ben's pick. I think I'm going to go with the Giants as well.
I agree completely. I think the Giants should win this game outright. I think Tommy DeVito, the masterclass of the guy, he had a great week. And I think that also comes down to play calling, because the week before he wasn't really given many opportunities, but he took advantage of what he had. But once they knew that he could, sling it a little, I mean, he's a starting quarterback in the NFL at this point. And I mean, I feel like that was the best game we've seen out of a Giants quarterback all season. But one thing that does actually intrigue me a bit about this game, which I don't think I'd be intrigued if it were anything else, is that the possibility of Malik Cunningham getting some reps at quarterback for the Patriots. And I think the more reps you put Malik Cunningham in at quarterback for the Patriots, the better chance you have of winning, because that just adds a whole new aspect to the game. And I actually think that might be a possibility, because Belichick is fighting for his job, and you have to do something out there. And if we start off slow and we see a Mac Jones interception or a Bailey Zappi interception, we don't know who's going to be out there. Well, one of the two or both go out there and stink it up. I have a feeling he's going to throw Malik out there, see what he can do, and just get a spark going at least. If and only if they put Malik out there, I think they have a chance to win this game. But that's a very strong if on my end. And the New York Giants, they don't need that level of inconsistency to win a game. So I'm going to go with the Giants here as well.
All right, we go back to Ben for his second game.
All right, next up we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Indianapolis, where the Colts are favored by 2.5 points. Okay, now listen, I understand the Colts only put up 10 points last week in their outing against the New England Patriots, but you know what? That was in, what is it now, Foxborough? Is that Gillette? I don't know where you guys call that stuff now. Tommy, correct me after this video is over. But it's Belichick. Belichick's still, trying hard or whatever. I don't know. Even if he's not trying hard, he's still got it put together to give a Gardner Minshew-led offense a hard time. And there's really nothing wrong with that when you really look at it big picture-wise, especially because the Colts still won. So, what are you going to do? Complain about a win? Not in this league. Fat chance. And you know what? The Bucs are just a bad team. The Bucs are just a bad team in general. All their highs are from the first few weeks of the season, okay? Indianapolis at least continues to give me reasons to believe that they can continue to produce highlights throughout the year. 1 or 2, but not a lot. Still more than what I think this Tampa Bay offense is going to be able to do this week. I'm going to pick the Colts to cover 2.5.
I will say one thing about what Ben said there. I think that Tampa Bay, their effort last week against the 49ers was laudable. Considering how great the 49ers offense was playing, that game could have been, a 30-point loss. The Bucs hung around for a little longer than we all thought they would. And the 49ers covered on our spread, but by the time the kickoff was, the spread was 13.5, and the 49ers actually did not cover that. So the Bucs played pretty strong last week. All things considered, they're just overmatched. I think they're also overmatched in this game. It's in Indianapolis. I like the Colts to win at home. The Colts are a little spunky. The Bucs are just another one of the NFC South boring ass teams, and so the Bucs are playing with a little bit of effort more than I expected, but I still like the Colts to cover this.
I think the Buccaneers as like a team schematically can be boring. I think like their play calling can be boring. Their rushing game is incredibly boring. It's jaw-droppingly boring. I yawn and almost snore every time I watch them hand the ball off to Rachaad White. But I actually think that Baker Mayfield's having quite a good year, despite the adversity, despite, last year the team had Tom Brady and they went 8-9.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking to have a similar record this year with Baker, and I think that's more of a testament to him than anything else. Same coaching staff, almost the same supporting cast, and this guy's coming out here throwing 2,300, 15-6. That's not a bad year by any standard.
No, but not by his standard.
Exactly,
it's his best year since he was a rookie.
Exactly, and I actually am all for it. I love the Baker Mayfield wave. I think he's a great energy for this league, and I think the league's better when he plays better. But despite that, again, it's coaching woes. One thing that I will give the Colts credit for is I think the Colts are fairly well coached. I think the loss of Shaq Leonard was an interesting one, and I guess I do. If I had any gripe for management, it would be doing that at the time that they did, especially while he was handing out turkeys to the indie community.
Yeah.
It just seemed
that he continued on. He handed them
and
all
he
out.
did, and that shows his character more than anything else. But it's like, come on, that's just there's better times for that, because people were pulling up like, yo, you've got cut, like whatever. But that's besides the point. I think that's a management issue, whatever. And I know he's been on the downhill when it comes to play. But that indie team, when it comes to a coaching perspective, they're fun to watch. Even if they're not going to go out there and win every game, you watch Colts game, you're not going to be disappointed by what you see, except for the game against the Patriots. That was pretty horrendous. But I guess I'll go with the Colts minus 2.5 here. But I would not be surprised whatsoever if the Bucs came in and took this one, especially with the fight they gave the Niners last week.
Yeah. All right. The next game for Ben here. Let's go ahead and get that going.
All right, third game up is the Chicago Bears going to the Minnesota Vikings, where the Vikings are favored by 3.5. We're rolling with the Vikings. We are. Listen, I understand why you might have some faith in the Bears after they went out there and put on a very tough performance against the Lions. But let's be honest, man. They did what the Bears do. They found a way to lose, okay? They are the Raiders of the NFC, if nothing less than that. Watching the last few minutes of that Detroit-Chicago game really just solidified everything that we thought about this team. All right, this team doesn't know how to close out wins. Even when they're up, they don't know how to protect it. They will find a way to lose it in, the waning seconds of the game. It was an incredible self-destruction. Whereas the Minnesota Vikings played a tough game. They played a really tough game against the Denver Broncos. They had a real shot to win that game too. Unfortunately, Russ is still goated. What can I say, man? That's my quarterback. # let's ride or whatever. I don't know. Isn't it weird every time I say let's ride, I always go for the bike handles? I don't know. I think that when he was bad, they were tricycle handles. Anyway, this is a guy getting off subject. It was a great game. It was a great game. 4 weeks ago, if you told me that was Sunday Night Football, I would have been like, ugh, not the Broncos and the Vikings. But the Vikings went out there. They're competing. Even though they lose their winning streak, they're still a hell of a team. And they still got some fight in them. I like the Minnesota Vikings. Go out there, protect the home turf by 3.5. Let's go Vikings.
Yeah, have you seen? I know that last week they were saying that Justin Jefferson was going to be back for this weekend. And if that is the case, that's a huge boost for the Vikings. I do like the way Dobbs is playing. He's got to clean up some of those turnovers. He had 2 more this last week against the Broncos. But just because the Bears showed up well and Justin Fields had a nice game, I don't think that they are going to do that in consecutive weeks on the road. The Minnesota is a tough place to play. It's a loud place to play. And I think the Vikings fans are feeling it. I know they lost, but they had won 5 in a row before that. And they're smelling a wild card spot. And I think that they will cover this spread.
I agree. I think the Vikings cover here. And I mean, if you were to tell me, right, I mean, the last 3 wins the Broncos have had. First was the Chiefs. Second was the Bills. Third was the Vikings. If you were to tell me, or if you were to ask me which team kept it the closest with the Broncos through those 3 games, I could go like between the Bills and the Chiefs, but the Vikings wouldn't be in that conversation. The Vikings were the closest, and it was almost a guaranteed Vikings win towards the end there. The Vikings have fight, and this Broncos team is, I hate to say it, the Broncos are good. They're a good football team. I think they're really putting it together, and the Vikings, they held it very close. And I think that if any team is gonna put a beating on the Bears, it's going to be the Vikings. I think their defense is better than what we saw from the Lions. I think the Lions' defense is way too inconsistent. The Vikings have been quite consistent in that regard. I mean, for the last couple of years, their defenses have been okay. And their offense is starting to put together, obviously, Dobbs, the turnovers. But he makes up for it with some highlight plays. And he's a firecracker, right? Sometimes he's a dud, sometimes he explodes, right? I hope that I actually hope for this to be a very good game. I'm excited to watch this game, weirdly enough, but I'm rolling Vikings -3.5.
All right. Our final game for Ben.
Last but not least, I got the Miami Dolphins going to the New York Jets. Miami's favorited by 10 points. It should probably be more. You're going to go out there and tell me that Tim Boyle and or Trevor Siemian is going to do more than Zach Wilson? And Zach Wilson wasn't doing great either, was it? 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions before getting benched. Ooh, that sucks. It sucks. At least he has the maturity to understand why it's happening now. Aaron Rodgers tries to say that he's the scapegoat. Zach's, an adult about it. He understands, this is because of me, because I'm bad at my job. And you know what? I kind of like that accountability. Don't like the Jets team. Miami should have an absolute field day against these division rivals. I love them to go into MetLife and put up, 30-40 on this team. The defense isn't going to want to play as high level as they usually do, just because the offense isn't carrying their weight. So why would you go out there, put it all on the line when the other side of the ball isn't going to help you win games? I think we're at that part of the year where it's going to become hard to become motivated to tackle on a bad team. And I can see Miami just running away with this one. I like Miami to cover 10 points.
So I love nothing more than to tell somebody who's not here to defend himself that he's wrong. I think that the Jets are going to get a boost from the fact that finally Zach Wilson has been benched. I'm sure a lot of them are wondering why it didn't happen a month or 2 ago, but here we are. They finally, now it's not as though everybody's excited for Tim Boyle, but the fact that the Jets are making a change at offense, I think we'll see a lift on the defense. They will be like, great, finally somebody's doing something on that side of the football to help us out. Tim Boyle has been around for a long time. He's 29. He's been in the league for 5 years. He's made 3 career starts. He's not been great in those 3 starts, but he's experienced this team. I think that we're going to see a better Jets performance. And what concerns me about the way the Dolphins, the Chiefs defense is very good, but the Chiefs defense really bottled up the Dolphins. The Raiders defense is not that good. They got torched by Tyreek Hill, but still the Dolphins were only able to score 20 points against them. Right now, the Dolphins offense is not the same offense that we saw to begin the year. They're not just clicking and everything working like it had been. And now they face really what I would consider to be the second best defense in the league behind the Browns in the Jets defense. They get a little boost because you got a new starting quarterback. I don't think the Jets are going to win this game, but I think that a spread of 5 or 6 points is more appropriate than the 10-point spread. I think the Jets keep this game closer than 10 points and they cover that spread.
I'm gonna be honest, Kyle. I'm gonna have to stick with Ben here. And as much as I think that there could be a boost on the defensive end from the change of quarterback, I also think that as much as there may be a boost there, I genuinely think there's going to be negatives on the offensive side of the ball that just completely offset what they do on defense. Because in my own personal opinion, and the stats will back me up on this, Tim Boyle is one of the worst backup quarterbacks in the NFL statistically, not just from his time in the NFL, because the fact that he's in the NFL at all is unbelievable. Do you know what this guy's college stats were? Because I do, because he played at UConn for 3 years. And you know what his UConn stats were? Terrible.
I don't know.
I think he had a career like almost 4-11 touchdown to interception ratio. He then transferred to an FCS school where he still had a negative touchdown to interception ratio as a senior and starter, and somehow found his way into the NFL. And he has only proven since entering college football that he is a bad quarterback. Ever since he walked onto campus as a fresh 18-year-old young boy, he has proven time and time again that he is not ready for the big lights, especially at MetLife, especially with on Black Friday with a divisional opponent, and you're taking the job from a number 2 or number 3 overall pick, number 2, right? Wasn't Zach number 2?
Yeah.
You're taking this number 2 overall pick's job, and you're playing a divisional opponent, and you have not once had a good football game since you left high school. Yeah, I have no confidence whatsoever in Tim Boyle. I think he might get benched once again. They put Trevor Siemian in, and Trevor Siemian, I don't think he's going to be much better. I mean, I'm just appalled by what this Jets team has done, and I think just genuinely that they were better off with Zach Wilson just sticking it out.
Well, okay, so I'm looking back. So Boyle has made 3 starts in his career. Those all 3 came in 2021 when he was a member of the Lions. He lost to the Cleveland Browns 13-10. In that game, he had no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He then lost to the Atlanta Falcons 20-16. In that game, he had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 187 yards. And then he lost to the Seattle Seahawks 51-29. In that game, he had 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, 262 yards. But I'm sure a lot of that was because the Seahawks scored 51 points, and they probably had some backups in.
Oh.
So no, I'm not suggesting that Tim Boyle is going to be better. I'm simply saying I think that the Dolphins, the Jets defense is good enough to continue what we're seeing from the Dolphins offense right now, which is a bit of a struggle to get in the end zone. Now, obviously, if Boyle throws 3 pick sixes, what the Dolphins offense does is meaningless because their defense will pick them up. But I don't know. I'm curious to see. I do think I think you're right on that. This really underscores the Jets' stupidity in rolling with Zach Wilson for the last 11 weeks, when they had 2 full months to make a trade to try to get somebody else, because we've got all these other backup quarterbacks right now in the league that are playing pretty good football. And if the Jets had just tried to go out and get a decent backup quarterback in the middle of September after Rodgers goes down, then maybe by the end of November here, we're talking about them as a potential playoff team. Nobody thinks that Boyle is going to lead them to the playoffs. I do think that they can just keep this game a little tighter. But again, if Boyle, maybe he's gotten better the last 2 years, sitting on the pine and doing nothing. I mean, he did throw 4 passes he threw 8 passes last year and he completed 2 of them. He also threw 2 interceptions.
Kyle, I don't want to rag on this guy
Last week, he threw 14 passes, completed 7 of them. Hey, that's not bad. But he had 33 yards and an interception. So, okay. So, yeah,
Kyle.
so Tim Boyle is not a great quarterback. But
Kyle, not great is the biggest understatement in football. And I am not one to just throw a guy under the bus, but this dude's best football game since he entered college it was at Eastern. He played against Eastern Illinois and he threw for 200. No, sorry, not Eastern Illinois, Murray State. And he threw for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He has not had a game in his entire college career where he threw a touchdown and did not throw an interception.
Well, Murray State, we all know because they every now and then show up in the NCAA tournament and play pretty good basketball.
I don't want to talk about his UConn stats, but his freshman season. This is the last thing I'm going to say about Tim Boyle. I promise.
We're spending a lot of time on the backup quarterback for the New York Jets.
He had
backup.
As a freshman, 44% completion percentage, 600 yards, 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And it was not much better after that either.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're done with that. But if you want to hear more, we are going to do a Tim Boyle podcast here after this one. We're going to break down everything he's ever done in his life. And then we'll go into Trevor Siemian as well and see how he could step in and really fill some shoes for the Jets.
Broncos legend.
Right. Well, we thank Ben for his efforts. We also would very much like to know where that green couch came from because I would like that couch in my living room. All right, Tommy, we are going to go to you now, and we are going to start with what should be a pretty good game. This is the Sunday night game, I believe. Baltimore Ravens at the Los Angeles Chargers. Ravens giving 4 points to the Chargers.
So I feel like this is a quite easy pick. The Ravens, we've talked about week after week, they are a Super Bowl favorite, and they're probably at this point, due to all of the shakeups in the AFC, they're probably the best team in the AFC right now. I don't know if they are record-wise. They should be, correct? 8-2.
They're 8-3. They're the number 1 seed. Everybody else is 7-3.
Did they have the bye last week?
They have not had the bye yet. Yeah, their bye is next week.
They played the Bengals last week when he got injured. But my big thing is the Chargers just lost to the Packers. And as much as I'm not supposed to take, I'm supposed to take each week with a grain of salt. You could see that team was frustrated. I mean, you can even see it on Herbert's face. And Herbert's one of the most cool, calm, and collected players in the NFL, and he's spiking that ball like it's his mortal enemy's baby. It's it was just a sad state of affairs. And the Quentin Johnston lost, dropped pass similar to MVS, lost that game. Baltimore, it is not one to make those kind of mistakes. Baltimore is one of the best teams in the NFL, and -4 is a nice, easy pick for me.
Yeah, I think the Ravens, obviously losing Mark Andrews is a big deal, and I think at some point we will probably see that loss hurt them. I don't think that's this week, though. The Chargers, as we saw, as you pointed out, at Lambeau Field, they found ways to lose. You've got a clear first down along the sideline. Maybe he takes that into the house for the game-winning touchdown. Instead, it's an incomplete pass, and Justin Herbert is snake bit again. I'm just looking here at the Chargers. They just don't do anything that excites me. And the Ravens right now are smelling the blood. They feel like that this has become their year. And while they're going to miss Mark Andrews for sure, there are better weapons around Lamar than we've seen in the years past. That will help cushion that blow just a little bit. I think the Ravens go on the road, fly to California, come home with a touchdown win over the Chargers. All right. Carolina Panthers. You've got the Carolina Panthers covering 3.5 points at the Tennessee Titans. Let's hear about it.
All right. So, first of all, fun fact, by the way, as we were talking about Tim Boyle before, Tim Boyle and Will Levis come from the same high school, Xavier High School in Connecticut. So that's a fun fact for you today.
Another tease for the Tim Boyle podcast. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Yeah,
you got all the Tim Boyle information
I guess I
possibly want.
I just know everything about Tim Boyle, I guess, just a career fan, But on a real note, though, the Panthers and we talk about the Titans week in and week out, and sometimes they keep it close, but we have to start talking about the Titans as they are, and they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, they're 3-7 at this point. I feel like on this show we don't bring up their record as much as we should, because it's their record is not an indication of any sort of playoff contention whatsoever. They are a bad football team. And I think Will Levis played with what he had last week against the Jaguars, but that running game was just horrendous. Derrick Henry cannot have 38 yards on 10 carries if you want this team to win a football game. And as much as I think the Panthers are probably a team that he could play well against, the Panthers are going to win eventually. And if the Panthers are going to win against any team, it's going to be the Titans. The Titans have one of the worst defensive back rooms right now in the NFL. And when Bryce Young plays well, that team is competitive. And at least to an extent, not competitive in like a league standpoint, competitive game by game. And he struggled last week against the Cowboys, but it's the Cowboys we're talking about, right? This is a whole shift in demeanor. I think the Panthers come in. I think this is an exact prediction. I think they lose by 3 points. I think they lose by 3 points exactly. It's going to be a close, not very high scoring game, I don't think. But I just think if the Panthers are going to win any week, because they're not going to end the year 1-16. I mean, this Panthers team, I can't believe that they'll end the year 1-16. But if they're going to get close to winning at any point, it has to be this week.
Yeah, like you said, we don't really talk about the Titans' record, but I mean, in the AFC, there really are only two teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention: the Patriots and the Titans. Everybody else is still in it, but we know that the Titans are not a playoff team. There's nothing about them that looks like a playoff team. Will Levis, he was better this last week. He had a good QBR, but they didn't move the football all that well. I agree. The Panthers are going to win probably 2 more games before the year is out. I see them as a 3-14 finish, and this is a good candidate for that. I'm not going to touch this game because right now the Panthers are. I mean, I just who wants to put money on either one of these teams? They're not trustworthy. Neither team is trustworthy. You would bet against the other team if they were playing somebody else, but they're playing another dog. And so, yeah, I don't think that you're making a bad pick at all. I'm just not going to pick this game because I just don't like it. But could the Panthers could win this game outright? Of course. I do think that maybe, obviously you got David Tepper, who is a super rich owner. And I know that Frank Reich is in his first season, but I'm certain that this is not the year that Tepper was envisioning. He was not envisioning that they would be the laughingstock of the league. And is Frank Reich coaching for his job right now? Maybe. I mean, maybe. I don't, Tepper is the guy who's going to, maybe just go ahead and clean house again. I don't think it would be a good idea for the development of Bryce Young, but, billionaire owners do weird things sometimes. All right, moving on. Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams are giving 1 point on the road.
Yeah, I have to take the Rams here. And I understand that, with Cooper Kupp getting hurt again, it's just the inconsistency here is, it's whatever. But again, like we maybe thought that Puka would be a phenom after Cooper Kupp came back. He stepped up even when Kupp was on the roster and active. And even when Kupp had a good game, he had a pretty good game too. And when Kupp came off the field, Puka stepped up, caught a touchdown pass, the only one of the day, and led them to a win. I think that Puka was probably the best performance that we saw from that game against the Seahawks, even with an injured Geno. But again, the inconsistencies in Matt Stafford are going to be a concern. He's a gunslinger that's not slinging the gun very well. You know, he's still throwing I mean, when you have a guy that's supposed to be of that caliber and he throws for less than 200 and a 1-to-1 touchdown interception, that is a poor performance. And don't even get me started on Darrell Henderson. I mean, he had 6 carries. Yeah, he scored, but he had 1 yard on 6 carries. That's atrocious. I think that as much as I'm kind of dogging on the Rams right now, I don't think the Cardinals are much better. I understand that we got Kyler Murray back like whoopee, but he's still like Kyler is not making those next level plays that we expected from him to win games. I mean, you were even talking about last week that you think the Cardinals had a chance to come and win this game, but even though the score was pretty close, to me it didn't feel like the Cardinals were really in it at all last week. Their level of play just wasn't there. Yeah, James Conner, he played all right. Kyler played all right, but even with the two of them together, they couldn't take down the Texans. And I think it'll be a similar situation with the Rams. I think the Rams win outright.
Yeah, the Cardinals offense seems to be drop Kyler back and let him run around and see if he can't make something happen. And they do that every single play. And it's got to be frustrating as a Cardinals fan. Thankfully, I'm not one because this has got to be one of the worst teams to actually have to root for. Yeah, I mean, it's what the thing about this game is you've got two teams that really have to figure out where their future at quarterback is. The Cardinals are going to be drafting in the top 10, and maybe they want to dump Murray, pick up one of the young guys in the draft. It's possible that's the route they go. They'll be on the hook for a lot of money, but you can't continue to field a team that's this unwatchable. Rams, of course, have Stafford, who he's only 35, but he's a well-worn 35. He is not a Tom Brady where Brady had 9 more years left in his body. Stafford is going to be on fumes by the time his career comes to a close, and it may be within the next year or two. Do the Rams want to continue to roll with him? They got to figure that out. I'm just looking at the Stafford's numbers here. He's thrown picks in his last 3 games. Have all been 1 touchdown, 1 interception games. He's not the guy. This offense isn't dynamic, which is surprising because they do have talent at wide receiver. Even Aaron Donald has taken a step back. He's not having a typical Aaron Donald season. That's not to say that I want to pick the Cardinals. It's just to say that I don't like either one of these teams right now. It really is. There may be no more division in football that has a better team at the top and a worse team at the bottom than the NFC West. The disparity between the cream of the crop and the dregs is huge in this division. And these two teams, the Rams are better than the Cardinals for sure. The Cardinals are at home. Look, I'm fine with your pick. I think, Rams could win this game. I'm going to take the easy out and say I don't want to pick either one of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, what might be more interesting is that what's the possibility that one of those teams that needs a quarterback and they want to draft him early, one of those early teams, they trade their early pick for Kyler, and then this Cardinals teams goes up top and finds like a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. Like that's what I'm looking for this offseason. Is Kyler going to get shopped for one of those top picks? Because it is very possible because those top picks are going to get used for quarterbacks anyways. And if they want to find somebody else for their system, that's a win-win for 2 different teams.
Well, they're talking about the Bears being able to shop Justin Fields. Surely then I think Murray's got more value than Fields. We've seen Murray do it. He's done it on a regular basis at the NFL level. Absolutely. The Cardinals could go that route. I mean, we know they're going to get a really top pick, a high pick because of their record. to grab another first round pick to ship Murray off, even if they have to pay some of his salary. I think it's worth it. All right. We're staying in the desert. This one, though, is in Las Vegas. Kansas City Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders getting 9.5 points, and you want those points.
Mm-hmm. This is an interesting pick for me because as much as I would love to pick the Chiefs here, and I'm probably going to be rooting for the Chiefs here, to be honest with you. I'm not a big Raiders guy this year. But the Chiefs, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, the last 2 weeks haven't been very, very much of blessings for them. The past 2 or 3 weeks. Last week losing to a team that they probably should not have lost to. I think that they absolutely should have beat that Eagles team. And then the week before that, they had the bye the week before, right?
They had the bye the week before that, and then they were in Germany.
And then they were in Germany. Yeah, it's been weird for this Chiefs team. That's I guess that's the word that I could use to describe it. It's been weird. And I think that losing at home against an Eagles team, I think that's really I think that hurts morale a lot. And Travis Kelce,
the way they lost too.
Exactly. And I think as much as we give MVS the crap for losing that game, Travis Kelce, I mean,
fumbling inside the 10-yard line is unforgivable. Yeah.
It's not good. It's not a good look. And I think that the Chiefs lead the league in drops by a significant margin. The Raiders team, I don't think the Raiders win. But again, this is a divisional rivalry. It is at home for the Raiders with that new mentality that they have. They're coming off of a couple of good weeks of football. And even though they lost to the Dolphins, and we all predicted they probably would, it wasn't by that much. I mean, the game was pretty close, and they made it difficult. They did. And I mean, as much as Aiden O'Connell threw 3 picks in that game, it's still a 7-point game. And I think that the Chiefs defensive back room with Miami had Jalen Ramsey pick 2 of them off, correct? And the Chiefs defensive back room, I think, is not as good as what we see in Miami, skill position wise.
You're not impressed with Trent McDuffie and
I do think they're
Sneed?
Never said that I don't think they're good. I just think that Miami on paper has some better skill, bigger names, and better players back there. I think it's close. I wouldn't say it's by a wide margin. I just think Miami has them just by a little bit. And I think the Raiders aren't. I don't think Aiden O'Connell is going to throw 3 picks is what I'm trying to say. I think he keeps it. If he does throw a pick, it's going to be a 1-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. Maybe he throws 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. But I see the Raiders keeping it close enough where it could be about 8, maybe 7 points.
Well, I'm just looking at the past games here. So the Chiefs have won 5 straight against the Raiders, losing the 6 games ago. So in the last 3 years, Chiefs are 5-1 against the Raiders, but against the spread, they're only 3-3. The last 2 games in Las Vegas, the Chiefs won by 1. That was an overtime game, and then the Chiefs won by 8 in Las Vegas. And then they won by 4 in Las Vegas. So the last 3 games in Las Vegas have all been inside this particular point spread. We've seen the Raiders play really good football the last 3 weeks. The Chiefs offense, the Chiefs defense is playing lights out. And then because of that, they're going to win this game. But until their offense gets on track, you can't give them large point spreads. They are good enough to cover a 7.5 point spread right now. I don't think that they're good enough to cover a 9.5 point spread. This to me strikes me as a 24-17 kind of a game, a 28-20 kind of a game. The Chiefs will win because they've won 11 of their last 12 against the Raiders.
They're better. They are a better football team than the Raiders.
But the point spread is a whole different animal. And the Chiefs right now offensively just don't deserve a big point spread. Until they get that figured out, you can't give them a point spread that's near 10 points. Not against a team that's playing well and a team that's inside their division and knows them really well. So yeah, so I'm with you on this. I think that if this was a 7.5 point spread, I'd go with Kansas City, but at 9.5, I just can't do it. I would go with the Raiders as well. But obviously, as a Chiefs fan, not one dime will I ever bet on the Raiders. So just, but yeah, I think your pick is a good one. All right. Thank you very much, Tommy. Moving on now to my picks. I've got the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, it's just a pick 'em. And I'm going to go ahead and pick the Saints just because I like Chris Olave. I like Alvin Kamara. And I like Derek Carr better than whoever the Falcons decide to grace us with at the quarterback position. I also, even though I think Dennis Allen is overmatched as a head coach, Arthur Smith just angers me. I'm physically enraged each time I see him on the TV. And Arthur, when you shave the mustache to shake things up, you can't immediately start growing back again before the next game. He does not understand how this works. You shave it, you play some games with the clean lip and see if that does anything. You don't shave it and then immediately stop shaving again. I mean, everything about him annoys me. Everything about the way he's using guys like Drake London and Bijan Robinson annoy me. And so I cannot pick the Falcons right now. I think the Saints are the best team in this division. I think that they are on their way to winning this division. It's a shame that they get to go to the playoffs. The NFL had a chance to change the rules and say that the NFC South does not automatically get a playoff team. They did not change those rules. And so sadly, the NFC South does get a playoff team, and it'll be the Saints this year. But I mean, no, I'm not impressed by the Saints, but they'll beat the Falcons.
See, the thing is, the difference between the Falcons and the Saints can be impressive. The Falcons are never impressive. The Falcons win by the skin of their teeth if they do. The Saints have had opportunities and they have taken advantage of some of them. The Saints actually look like a formidable football team. And if I was to see either of these two teams in the playoffs, I know the Saints are going to put a better fight against whoever they play against than the Falcons will. The Falcons are a 100% no doubt first round exit if they do make the playoffs. The Saints have a chance to win a wild card game. And that's just the plain and simple of it. I think that first of all, I'm fairly certain that I saw a report that they're going to ride with Desmond Ridder for the rest of the season.
Okay.
Secondly, I've also heard Arthur Smith say that he is going to commit more to the Bijan run game, which he did prove. He said that before the game against the Cardinals, and he did prove that. 22 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown. So maybe we see some improvement out of the Falcons, some consistency. Keep Ridder in there. Don't trade out for Taylor Heineke, because that experiment kind of flopped. Because Taylor Heineke just did not look that good, which is hurts me in the heart because I'm one of his biggest supporters. But the Saints, I think overall, on all ends of the field, I mean, I think that at least the talent that they have, they use correctly. I mean, all of those receiving weapons that the Falcons have, just for them to they do cardio all game. All they do is run routes and sit, and they're probably running like 10 miles a game and getting no reception for it, And I mean, it's kind of a sad state of affairs over there in Atlanta. I think they could be so much better than they are, but that's all hypotheticals. And one thing that I know for certain is that the Saints are a better football team.
They are indeed. They have a good defense. We know that. I mean, Chris Olave has the ability to be, he may develop into a top 5 wide receiver at some point. And we know that Alvin Kamara can both catch the ball and run the ball. And so, yeah, I like New Orleans, even though they're on the road and these teams hate each other. I don't think that that's going to matter. All right. This game I have struggled with, and it's not because I think that the Bills are in the class of the Eagles. It's because the Eagles are in the middle of a stretch right now where they just played the Chiefs. Next week, they play the 49ers, and then they play the Dallas Cowboys. This is a 4-game gauntlet that the Eagles are in the middle of. And I cannot believe for the life of me that the Eagles are going to win all 4 because they're just too many good teams they're playing. And the NFL is the NFL. Teams don't win every game they play against other great teams. So do I go with the Eagles to win this game because of the 4, the Bills are the worst of the 4? And that's what I'm going to go ahead and do and say that the Eagles do win this game. which means then I'm saying that they must lose to either the 49ers or the Cowboys in the next 2 weeks. I don't know really where to go with this. The Eagles, I don't think, they're a veteran team. They're a Super Bowl team. They're not looking ahead to San Francisco yet, but maybe they're looking a little past the Bills, although Buffalo's offense did look really good last week against the Jets. But I can see Josh Allen turning the ball over 3 times. I don't think the Bills have any chance of stopping AJ Brown. I think DeAndre Swift has a big game against the Bills. I think Jalen Hurts has a big game against the Bills. This is not going to be they just played a 21-17 game against the Chiefs. It's not going to be like that. I think this is going to be a 35-27 win for the Eagles. The Eagles will cover the spread, but they're probably not going to cover the spread until late in the game, because I think that the Bills will put up a decent amount of fight on their offensive side. And I think this is going to be a pretty good game. Well, I mean, it's only a 3.5 point spread. Obviously, Las Vegas thinks it's going to be a pretty good game as well. But that's where I'm going to go, just because I think that the Eagles, even though they're in the middle of a really tough stretch of their schedule, I think they're just the better team.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think, there is a possibility that Nick Sirianni, the immature person that he is, maybe looking ahead at the NFC opponents and the NFC divisional rivalry, and maybe, but at the end of the day, they're still 9-1. So as much as Nick Sirianni might be immature, he doesn't seem to be a bad football coach. I think that the Eagles are just plainly better than the Bills, and they covered this spread against a much better Chiefs team. So, and that was away at Arrowhead. Sorry, I did not make the mistake of saying Mile High this time. Don't worry, Kyle. But they're playing at home. They covered that spread against the Chiefs away. They're playing at home against a team that's just not as good. I have no reason to believe that they shouldn't cover the spread.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Sirianni may be a little immature, but guys like Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox are not. They will make sure that this team stays focused.
Just interesting why they aren't the head coach of the football team instead of the guy who's running around, yapping to the Chiefs fans.
Yeah, what a tool.
He's just. I wouldn't want to be friends with that guy. Would not want to be friends with that guy.
No, I would. Yeah, not at all. All right. A pretty good game in Denver. The Cleveland Browns are 7-3, and it's interesting. You've got all these other teams that have lost their starting quarterbacks, and it really changes things. Browns are the exact same team with Deshaun Watson or without Deshaun Watson, and they lost Nick Chubb too. I mean, they lost they lost their best offensive player and their starting quarterback, and they are the exact same team that we expected to see from them. They're 7-3, and I think because of that defense, they go into Mile High Stadium, and I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to beat the Broncos. And here's my thinking on this: the Broncos have been hot. They've won 4 games in a row, but they've been doing it because they have just been turning the ball over incredibly on defense. Against the Bills and against the Vikings, they were +6 in turnover ratio, and they won those 2 games by a combined 3 points. If you're +6 in turnover, you should be winning games pretty handily. Those turnovers aren't going to continue. That's the one thing you can't count on a week-to-week basis is turnovers. Other parts of your defense can be consistent, but turnovers are random, and at some point that turnover luck is going to run out. The Browns are going to come in there and they're going to pound the football. They're going to give the ball to Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt. DTR is going to play a very conservative game, get the ball to Amari Cooper, to David Njoku, and they're going to play ball control football. You're not going to see big risks, so you're not going to see big game-changing turnovers. And that Browns defense is legit. I think that the Browns are it's going to be very similar to the game we saw against Pittsburgh. It's going to be a 13-9 Cleveland Browns win. It's going to be ugly AFC Central football from the 1980s, back when the AFC Central was a thing. I like the Browns to keep winning. I mean, how can a team not have its starting quarterback and improve to 8-3? Well, we're going to find out. The Browns defense is really that good.
I'm actually gonna take the risk here and go opposite of you. And let me tell you why.
You've picked the Broncos a lot this year.
Yeah, I have, and I'm a Broncos believer. But this is yeah, you're talking about how they've taken opportunity of turnovers, but and those turnovers have led to pretty great field position, and that great field position has also led to a couple of Will Lutz kicks, and Will Lutz in the last couple of weeks has actually been quite good. I'll give him some credit where it's due. He started off a little slow, but I mean the whole team did. So I mean it happens to everybody. But one thing I do know for a definitive fact about this Browns team is that although Deshaun Watson isn't playing, both of the quarterbacks that are going to be on the roster come Sunday has a combined touchdown to interception ratio of 1-9. I can almost guarantee if you're going to buy a prop at any point in this. If you're going to buy a prop, I don't think I have a prop set up for this week. But if there is a prop that I would buy, is that the Browns throw over half an interception this game, because that is what these guys do. PJ Walker and Dorian Thompson-Robinson throw picks, and I think that's going to lead. I think that team throws 1 or 2 interceptions against this Broncos team, who has taken very heavy advantage of that so far these last couple of weeks against teams that I think are arguably better than the Browns. Yeah, the Browns have such a great defense, but overall, if we're talking about just like rosters, just top to bottom, just talent and ability and how they've played so far this year, obviously the Chiefs I think are better than the Browns. The Bills are fighting. The Bills are fighting for a spot in there too, and I honestly think they're going to get 2 picks this game. One maybe to get themselves in good field position, win by a field goal. I got to take the Broncos -2.5.
Yeah, I just don't think the Browns throw the ball a lot enough in this game to throw 2 interceptions. I think that they're going to throw the ball like 20 times. I think they're going to rely on the defense. And Myles Garrett is good for a strip sack. Russell Wilson is not. Russell Wilson is not aware in the pocket. He's not good at protecting the football. And Myles Garrett is my defensive player of the year. He is unreal. When you see a guy his size move with that kind of speed and agility, it just doesn't make any sense from a physics standpoint. It does not compute with what I've learned in school. But yeah, it's going to be a good game. It really is. It's you've got 2 teams that are playing good football, 2 teams that are in the playoff hunt. You got. I think Kevin Stefanski has done a brilliant job of coaching. How they're 7-3 with the injuries that they've suffered is impressive. Obviously, I know that Sean Payton was one of our preseason coaches of the year, and he's finally living up to that right now after a bad first month. It's going to be a good game. I will be watching this game. I did not think to myself 2 months ago that I would be watching the Browns and the Broncos, but now I'm actually excited for this football game. All right. We've got an offensive coordinator change in Pittsburgh. Matt Canada finally has been relieved of his duties. Now, he was the offensive coordinator there for almost 3 full seasons, and not one time, not once, did the Steelers go over 400 yards with him as the offensive coordinator. Now they're going to split the duties. The running backs coach is the OC. The quarterbacks coach is going to call the plays. And I think that is a good thing for Kenny Pickett. Now, Kenny Pickett hasn't thrown an interception in like 5 weeks. He's only got 4 turnovers the entire season. He's one of the best at protecting the football. So take the shackles off of this guy. Stop making him throw the ball 4 yards downfield. He's good at protecting the football. He's good at making smart decisions. Let him go. You've got George Pickens. Let him work on that. You've got home run hitters and Jalen Warren and George Pickens. Stop playing line of scrimmage offense. I'm excited to see the new direction that this offense takes and how much different it really is. I do think they get a little bit of a lift because of that. Finally, I think the offense is going to play with a little bit more freedom. And the Cincinnati Bengals, they've lost Joe Burrow for the year. I think that everybody there understands that their season, that they began the year thinking Super Bowl. Now they know the year is over. They know that that's not going to happen. And I think everybody takes a step back because of that. The Steelers, however, are still thinking the postseason. They're still exceeding expectations. The Bengals know they're going to fall short of those. I like the Steelers to go on the road in Cincinnati and win this game, and I think that they can win this game by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm all with it on this. I'm so happy that the Steelers got rid of that nuisance and detriment and God-hating, football-hating football coach that is Matthew Canada. That Chris Boswell hater. Well, Chris Boswell hates him, which is totally reasonable because I mean this guy stinks. So like good on you. I think that's the first time they've had a mid-season office front office or coaching
It's like the
fire
40s.
since 1940 or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's how bad this guy was. They had to. They haven't done that since 1940, and they had to do it. So
yeah,
good on him. Good on him. I think Kenny Pickett's a great player. I think he has the potential, at least, to be a great player. He has been shackled and chained by this offense. I'm so excited to see a pass on first down and second and short.
Goodness.
Oh, it's gonna be no more like halfback dives with Najee Harris down the middle on second and 9 to get a 3rd and 7 field position for a slant or a flat route pass. Oh, I'm so excited. I love this part of football.
It's been slow, man. It's a slow evolution. They finally decided Jaylen Warren actually is pretty spectacular. So they've started to play him more, thank God. And now we're going to get to see Kenny Pickett and what he actually is capable of. I am not a Steelers fan, but it is exciting times to be a Steelers fan. Your long nightmare is over. Look, if your name is Canada, go coach in the CFL. Maybe there's a spot for you there. You're not welcome here in the NFL anymore. Not with that offense.
I think you get a little too confused because he doesn't like receivers running anyways, and seeing them run before the snap might cause him to have a little bit of a go into cardiac arrest or something.
He better not watch the game on Sunday. He will not like what he sees.
Yeah, I know Canada was not watching the Grey Cup final last week, but yeah, Steelers -1 seems like the easy hit here. I hope that they don't. Who was the quarterback that was playing behind Joe Burrow again? What was his name? Jake Browning.
Browning.
I hope that they pull AJ McCarron off the practice squad and give him a shot. I mean, XFL MVP, he's still got some fire left in him. So hopefully we get to see a little bit of McCarron action in a Bengals uniform again, which would be pretty sweet. But but regardless of if AJ McCarron starts and has a good game, I think the Steelers are winning this one.
So you'd be in favor of the New York Jets trading for AJ McCarron and starting him over our
hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, put AJ in there. Start him. It's better than Timothy Boyle.
All right, final game, and this is actually a really good game in the AFC South. Now, this was supposed to be a Jaguars walkaway. They were going to win this division with ease. They were going to take a big step forward after last year. That has not happened. They have not taken that step forward. That step was given to the Houston Texans. They have taken a huge step forward. D'Amico Ryans, coach of the year. Obviously, we know without a doubt that CJ Stroud is offensive rookie of the year. But man, you've got Tank Dell, who's been fantastic. Dalton Schultz. What a great free agent signing that's been. He really has been fantastic. This whole Texans team feels different. This is the best Texans team we've seen since 2019 when they were in the playoffs. This is a team that lost 13 games last year. This is a team that lost 13 games the year before that. They are now, I think, a playoff team. I think they're going to finish in the playoffs. Right now, they're in the playoffs, and I think that that's where they'll stay. And if they win this game, all of a sudden they're in first place. They will have completed the season sweep if they win this game. And I think they do complete the season sweep. They kicked the Jaguars' ass when they played them in Jacksonville. That was a pretty easy win for them. I'm surprised that the Texans are getting points at home as well as they've been playing and as iffy as Jacksonville's been playing. So I am taking that point, although I don't think I need that point. I think the Texans win this game. I think they win this game by 7 to 10 points. I think at home, that place is going to be going nuts. I think that right now of the two quarterbacks going to be on the field, CJ Stroud is playing the best football easily. It's not close. He is playing so much better than Trevor Lawrence right now. And I'm all on the Texans on this one.
Kyle, you took the words right out of my mouth. My biggest issue with the Jacksonville Jaguars is their consistency. They have such a lack of consistency. Some weeks, like last week, they came out and Trevor Lawrence played incredible football, but you could flip a coin on whether he's going to play like an MVP caliber player, or if he's going to play like he should have been drafted in the 5th round instead of the 1st. Like it's just, that is not something we see with the Texans. One thing that I've consistently maintained throughout the entire since the Texans started winning, one of the things I've been saying week in and week out is that they are consistent. You know what you are getting from the Texans every week. They're going to keep it close, but they're going to win the game. They're not going to turn the ball over very much. They're going to be efficient on offense, and they're going to make enough stops on defense to win the game. They have done that week in, week out. They smoked the Jaguars before away. Now they're going home. This home crowd is going to be so excited. Divisional rivalry. You know that place is going to be packed. I don't even know what the Texans Stadium is called, but it's going
NRG or something like that.
The Energy Stadium. Yeah. It's going to be loaded. Yeah. And you know that Texans crowd is going to be riled up for this team. +1 is wild to me. Just because Jacksonville has a better record does not mean that they are the better team.
They have a better record by 1 game. It's
exactly.
Not like
it's insignificant number. And the Texans are going to even it out this week for sure. This isn't top dog territory.
Yeah. No, I like it. I mean, who would have thought that the Houston Texans would be in first place after Thanksgiving? And it could happen. All they've got to do is take care of business on Sunday. I love it. I love this Texans team. They're really fun to watch. And I continually pat myself on the back for picking up Tank Dell off the waiver wire back in September.
Boy.
The only reason I picked him up was because T. Higgins was hurt. So I picked up Tank Dell, and I've been riding Tank. I've got won 6 games in a row thanks to Tank, man. He is a stud.
Sweet. That's
nice. The connection that those two guys have developed in such a short time, really special. I mean, I'm picturing these guys 3-4 years down the road as this great quarterback wide receiver combo, and it's exciting. I mean, I wish I was a Texans fan, because what an exciting time to have gone through the absolute garbage of the last 3 years, to go through the garbage of Deshaun Watson, to jettison that stool out of the game or out of your city, bring in a class guy like C.J. Stroud, who just balls out. And and D'Amico Ryans, man,
great character guy too. C.J. Stroud is a great character guy.
Great character guy. He's everything that Deshaun Watson is not. And I can't say enough good things about Ryans as a head coach. What a great hire that's turned out to be. Man, he's doing everything right, and he's going to be a great head coach for a lot of years to come. It's that's Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, man. It's.
Jeez, we got Mike
I know you guys pay a price. You guys lose your defensive coordinator every year, but man,
Robert
Saleh, the best of the bunch.
Robert Saleh might find his way back. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he may. But yeah, Ryans is destined to be a head coach for the next 20 years.
I love it.
All right. So that is our all of our picks. That is the entire weekend of football, beginning with Thursday night. Our big Thursday morning, for those of us who live out here in the West. That's the best part about Thanksgiving, 10:30 a.m. football. And then all the way through the night where we watch the 49ers and the Seahawks. So we are going to pick our 3 top picks. Now, we've picked all the games. Of course, you should never bet on all the games, because that would be silly. But you should absolutely follow us on our top picks, especially when it comes to the money line. So Tommy, I know you lost on the money line last week, but let's just recount where you stand right now. You are in the black. That means he's won this amount of money, $1,041 on his money line picks. That's just through 11 weeks. We're talking about $100 bets, and he is over $1,000 in profit. So Tommy, well done. And in fact, all of us are over 500 on our favorite picks, and our top dog picks as well. We've all done really well on these picks. So these are the picks you should listen to for your betting pleasure this weekend. Tommy, Ben is not here. He is going to default to picking third this week. Finally, I get to pick somewhere other than last, but you get to go first, and we're going to start off with your favorite of the week.
Kyle, are you sure you don't want to take number one this week? You never get the opportunity. I'm willing to hand that
Nope.
off to you.
Nope. I want to. I follow your lead. I hear you kind of talk through it, and then I go ahead and make my picks based off of what you say.
All righty then.
I am
I'll
totally.
take it.
I'm just a piggybacker here.
Sounds good to me. I mean, favorite. I'm gonna go with the Baltimore -4.
Baltimore -4 at the Los Angeles Chargers. All right.
Excuse me.
All right. Your top dog, please.
My top dog. I'm gonna have to steal your pick. That Houston +1. Woo-wee.
It was also Ben has submitted to me his picks. That was his first choice as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, we are all in agreement that Houston +1, a really nice little underdog bet. All right, and your easy money line pick.
My easy money line pick. Let me just quickly scroll through here so I can see what I've got for these money line picks this week. I'm actually gonna go. I'm seeing very close money on this. I see New Orleans -108. Do you have something better for me, maybe?
New Orleans.
Actually, can I nix
I've
that?
got.
Can I nix
I've got.
that?
Okay, you can mix that. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Giants +150.
Giants +150. All right. I've got +155 if you'd like that instead.
Please, I will gladly accept that.
+155. All right. That's a good pick. I like that a lot. All right. For me, my favorite. Boy, I am going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers giving up a point.
That was going to be my second one if I didn't pick Baltimore.
My top dog of the week. Ooh. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns getting 2.5.
Cleveland Browns 2.5. That's pretty nice.
Was that? That's right. That was the spread, wasn't it? Yes. Cleveland,
Yeah.
Cleveland +2.5. Yep. All right, and then my easy money line pick. I could take the Chiefs at -430.
Yeah, make a pretty penny on that.
I'll win. Yeah, I'll win like $11. Hey, why not? I am going to. You know what? I like what you did about the Carolina Panthers, and they're paying +155. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers at +155. How does that sound?
I guess you are stealing that piggyback, aren't you? Look at you.
Yep. Again,
I'm all for it, man.
I listen to the experts and then I make my picks, which is what you guys at home should be doing as well.
Exactly.
All right. So Ben's picks. Ben's favorite. He is going to go with the Indianapolis Colts, giving up 2. What are they? 2.5.
Colts. Yeah, I think it was 2.5. Let me check really quick for you. I have it up right here. It was the. You said Indianapolis?
Indianapolis.
That was I don't know why I can't find it. Yes, -2.5.
-2.5 against the Bucks. All right. His top dog is the Arizona Cardinals, because we have taken his first two choices, Houston and Carolina. So he gets the Arizona Cardinals +1. We know how you feel about that.
Yeah,
I'm dubious as well. And then his easy money line pick, he is going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. Actually, no, he's not. He's going to go with the Houston Texans, because we did not take the Houston Texans money line.
Yeah, I took him as my dog, and I feel like it's not very fair to take the same dog as money line.
Yeah, so he's going to take them as his money line pick. I've got him at +104.
Yeah, I only saw +102, so just steal that.
We'll give him +104 then. All right. So just to recap for your weekend betting pleasure, Tommy's favorite is the Baltimore Ravens, giving up 4 points at the Chargers. His top dog is the Houston Texans. They are getting a point against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. And then his easy money line pick, the New York Giants at +155 at home against the New England Patriots. Ben O'Connell in absentia is his favorite is the Indianapolis Colts, giving up 2.5 points against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's got his top dog is the Arizona Cardinals. They are getting 1 point against the Los Angeles Rams. And his easy money line pick is the Houston Texans at +104. My favorite, the Pittsburgh Steelers, giving up 1 point at the Cincinnati Bengals. my top dog, the Cleveland Browns, getting 2.5 points at the Denver Broncos. I know that there is some disagreement probably, well, certainly from you, and I'm certain that Ben probably feels the same way as you do. And then for my easy money line pick, the Carolina Panthers at the Tennessee Titans, they are paying plus 155. So to me, that's worth it. All right. That is our show for tonight. It has been, thank you it's Thanksgiving weekend, so we appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. But of course, it's a football weekend, so that means it's a football betting weekend. So of course, you're going to want to watch or listen to the best podcast about NFL betting in the industry. On behalf of Tommy Birch, who is going to be celebrating his Thanksgiving by coaching a high school football game tomorrow. So Tommy was a college football player. He's now a high school football coach. Tommy, do you want to tell us about your team, about your game tomorrow? Just go ahead and brag on your high school for a bit, your team.
Yeah, I mean, my high school, we're playing our in-town rival for the big trophy, which is called the Sword. And we're really looking forward to a big game, and I'm really hoping for, and I'm confident in a huge win for the boys before this team has to, separate and move on to next year. But love my guys, and I cannot wait to wake up at 6 a.m. to get to the school at 8 a.m. for our 10:15 game.
Thanksgiving football, though, at any level is awesome. So we're excited for you there. So Tommy is in Springfield, Massachusetts. We appreciate you, Tommy, for joining us on this Thanksgiving weekend. Ben O'Connell is somewhere traveling these United States right now. We aren't sure where he is, but he will be back with us, I'm certain, next week. And Ben will be watching this and probably mocking our picks. I am Kyle Garland in Denver, Colorado. We're expecting our little Thanksgiving weekend snowstorm. So hit the slopes, everybody. Colorado is going to get some good snow this weekend. It is Thanksgiving, and one of the great Thanksgiving memories was Randy Moss. 3 catches, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns as a rookie. Now, I'm going to leave us with some of the Thanksgiving memories that maybe aren't quite as good as what Randy Moss did. These are some of the lesser thrilling Thanksgiving memories, but memories that we will never forget if we saw them. That is how we will leave you tonight. On behalf of all of us here at NFL Points, Picks, and Props, thank you for joining us. Happy betting, everybody.
Doug Peterson to hold. Blocked. The Cowboys will win.
Wait a minute.
Wells in the end zone. No one covered it, and Miami did. That could be a touchdown if Miami has covered it.
A Dallas player touched the ball, and then the Dolphins went on and recovered it.
The Dolphins pull it out.
I've never seen this before in my life. Watch this. Vince Wilfork is going to throw Brandon Moore back into his quarterback. He's going to fumble the football. This is what Reggie White used to do to people.
Number 36, heads, tails, heads. Call it plays in the air. Heads is the call. He said heads, it is a tails.
Oh, I believe he said tails. He did.
You want to take the ball?
Look at Jerome Bettis. What's going on?
You're changing the head. Which way you want to go?
Oh, man.
Detroit has won the toss. We'll receive.
Jerome Bettis said tails. Oh, my. Well, we'll find out. Now we're going to